Go off. Go off. Go off.
Peace, everyone. Great rising. It's Saturday. I told you all that today I was going to have a special guest on the show by the name of Dr. Mayat. Some of you know who she is. There are some who have no clue who she is. So I've been kind of introducing her to y'all in my groups and everything. So y'all can kind of, check her out and figure out who she is and so forth. But this woman, I'm telling you, she is amazing. Like an incredible black, some research on her myself, because me and her been kind of, vibing for the past few years or whatever on social media, but I never took the time to actually, dig in to see what is it that she really does, besides do lectures and so forth, on the African and the continental African community and the community here in America. So I'm like, okay, let me do a little bit more research on Dr. Mayat, So when she sent her bio over to me, I was like, whoa, like this is outstanding, because you don't normally find that's really been just getting like straight education for like damn near 20 years, because I'm like, okay, this woman, she's a vet. She's a military vet. She did 8 years in the military. While she was in the military, she became an undergraduate for electrical engineering. I believe that's what it said. But then after she got out of the military, she went on and continued her education. And now she's a doctor of engineering. So this woman is really a doctor. She ain't just saying, oh, I'm Dr. Mayat, No, she's a doctor. She has to tell you some things that you probably don't even know. And she teaches engineering at Morgan State. So this woman right here is the bomb. You feel me? So that's why I brought her on here, because she's motivational. The woman's smart as hell. She will chew your neck off when it comes to African culture. I'm trying to tell you right now. So I want you to sit back and chill. We're gonna get to know Dr. Mayat without her doing debates and all that stuff like that. We're gonna get to know her, and she's gonna tell us about everything she got going on, and about her program that's in different countries called Meltrex and everything. It's time for us to know who Dr. Mayat is. So let's welcome Dr. Mayat. Hey.
Love to you, my sister. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I was like, wow. But thank you so much. Yeah, that was a powerful introduction. And thank you so much for having me on your platform. I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. I wanted you to come on. I was like, okay, she got to come on here, because I know that there's things that you need to put out there that you'll never get to say, because you're real busy with lecturing and you got school that you're teaching. And then if you're not teaching in school, you up on some camera teaching folks about stuff they should really already know, So it's just like, she's always teaching. It's just time for her to just tell people kind of about who she is, and what she does and why she does it, what made her go forth and do these certain things in life. So tell us, where are you from?
Born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. Born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. I actually, my family grew up in Baltimore City. So my mom and her siblings, they grew up in Baltimore City. And can you hear me, Queen, or am I breaking up?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's breaking up a little bit, but I hear you though.
Okay. All right. So born and raised in Baltimore. My family, my mom and her siblings, they were born and raised in Baltimore City. And when my mom got older, she married my father. They grabbed a house out in Baltimore County. So I grew up basically in Baltimore City and Baltimore County. Still had a lot of family in the city. Mm-hmm. So I would go into the city a lot. But my mom raised me in Baltimore County.
Well, so what was it like growing up there? Like you're definitely like an 80s child, right?
Yes, I am.
So what was it like, an 80s child? So what was it like growing up in the 80s in Baltimore?
I mean, to be honest with you, I know that during the 80s, they talk about the crack epidemic and how, our communities were flooded with a lot of drugs. And then you had a lot of, mass incarceration happening during that time. But growing up in the 80s, I feel like I had a very good childhood. My mom, again, had me in Baltimore County. She sent me to private school. But again, I would go into the city to be around my friends and relatives. But I had a wonderful experience growing up in the 80s. I mean, we could run up and down the street. You didn't have to worry about anybody bothering you. It was a totally different culture in the 80s, you know.
Right.
That crime didn't happen in the 80s. We know that it did. But in the 80s, I still feel like Black people still had a code in a sense. You know, I still remember neighbors knocking on the door saying, hey, can I get some sugar from you? Or can I borrow this? Or neighbors watching your children. You know, we'll go over to neighbor's house if mom was too busy, or neighbors will cook and bring. So I feel like in the early 80s, we still had a code in a sense. So I had a wonderful childhood to answer your question. Wonderful childhood. Yeah.
That's good. I kind of feel the same way about my childhood growing up in the 80s. You know, like it was rough. It definitely was rough. You know, you had to be a tough child to grow up in the 80s, you know, because we did have a lot of more freedom in the 80s.
Right.
But a lot more freedom, but people did look out for us. It really was like that village raising a child thing going on.
Yeah.
You know, so everybody did look out for us, but we had much more freedom, you know. And it's just like now things has changed. It's a little, I don't know, people are more vicious and more just animalistic now, and just, you know, so a lot has changed.
Yeah, and you know, and what I would also add to that, Queen, is that a lot of the culture is more individualistic today. You know, you know, you hear people say things like, "I'm just worried about me and mine's. I'm gonna look out for me and mine's," and you know, that's your child, not instead of our child. That's your child. You know, I remember, like I said, back in the day, my mom would send me over to the neighbor's house or down the street to be babysat. And I just think that now is we live in a very extremely individualistic culture, and also a culture in which we don't have a code now that Black people abide. You know, we don't have an actual code that we all collectively abide by. So I definitely see a lot of differences.
There's a lot of differences, and I'm not really sure at what point that happened, when that separation kind of took place. But I feel, off my own experience, it started taking place more so like around 95.
Yes. Yep. We saw the change.
Like 90 started to separate. And it was more like, this is my child. Don't tell my child nothing. Don't say nothing to me about my child. You know, I don't know what really happened during that time period, but things just switched between 95, 96. So definitely by 2000, it was a wrap. Like it was just a wrap. Can't tell nobody anything about their children. You can't give anyone no advice without them feeling offended. You can't say anything to no one. It was just, everything was offensive, you know, and it's just sad. But let me see what I want to ask. Oh yeah. At what point in your life did this unyielding interest and proclivity and adoration for Africa take place with you? When did this happen? You know?
Okay. So I'll say that it was definitely a process. The spark was 1996. I'll never forget it. I was downtown hanging out with my friends at the Inner Harbor. So in Baltimore, we have this area, it's the Inner Harbor, a lot of water, ships, restaurant stores, or whatever. So I was hanging out with my cousin and a few friends, and there was a brother who was selling. He was selling books. So he had a little table set up, and he was selling books. And we walked past the table, and out of all of my friends, he stopped me and he said, "Hey, you." He said, "Come here." He said, I want to sell you this book." And the book that he showed me was From the Bow to Fowl by Anthony T. Browder. And so he said, "I want you to read this book. I want to sell it to you." And I said, "Look, I don't have any money," which I didn't. I didn't have any money, and then I wasn't at that time interested in buying a book. You know, I was 15. I was, you know, just living my life and having fun. And so he said, "I want you to buy this book." And I said, "I don't have any money, brother." You know, and he said, "Well, you know what? I'm going to give it to you." He said, "I'm going to give it to you." He said, "And I want you to read it." He said, "This book," and this is what really sparked my interest in reading the book. He said, "This is the book that Erykah Badu gives out at her concerts." And back in 96, you know, Erykah Badu, you know, she was very popular. So, you know, and I used to listen to her a lot. And so when he said, "This is a book that Erykah Badu gives out at her concerts," I said, "Okay." And then he was willing to give me the book for free. I said, "Okay, brother, go ahead and give me the book." And one day I was sitting in my room And I looked at the book. I didn't read it right away. I think it took me like a few months to read it. But I was in my room one day, bored, and I looked at the book and I looked at the cover and I said, I wonder what the cover means, you know, because it was like a son child holding, you know, I believe it was an ankh. And I said, I wonder what this means. And so I picked up the book, I read the introduction, and then, I mean, I just kept reading and reading and reading and reading, sis. And I'm like, wow. I mean, he talked about melanin. He talked about the politics of hair. He talked about a lot of history that I wasn't learning in school. And at the time, this was like 96, right. I was in 11th grade or entering 11th grade at the time. And so I was like, wow, you know, oh my gosh, our people didn't just come from slavery. And so, you know, I feel like Anthony T. Browder, and I always accredit Baba Browder with being that, you know how you see the pictures of a lock on the mind and then someone coming with the key. I feel like Baba Browder was the one who had the key and locked my mind. And after I read the Browder file, then I went to a bookstore in Baltimore called Everyone's Place. You know, it's a cultural bookstore in Baltimore. They sell all sorts of stuff.
It's still there?
Yeah, they're still in Baltimore. Shout out to brother Nati and his wife, Mama Tabia. So they're still there. They ship a lot of books to different places. But I went there and I started reading. I read The Community of Self by Dr. Naeem Akbar, Breaking the Chains of Psychological Slavery by Dr. Naeem Akbar. Then I read Philosophies and Opinions by Marcus Garvey. Then I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. And so, you know, at 15, 16, I'm reading all of this stuff and I'm like, wow. So I'm carrying this back to my family and friends and just getting excited about the information that I was coming across. And so then I went through, you know, getting rid of Christianity, and no offense to anybody who's listening. But by the time I was about 19 or 20, and I read the book, The Council of Nicene. I read that book, and I said, I can't do this anymore. You know, so I started to detach myself from the religion that I grew up in, which was Christianity. But no knock again to Christianity or brothers and sisters who were Christians watching the show. But I began, the more I grew in knowledge, the more I detached myself from certain things, you know, and
certain beliefs and practices and so forth.
Yes. So I detached myself from Christianity. And then, you know, I started hollering at the brothers in the Nation of Islam. I started going to one of the mosques here and I said, well, maybe Christianity isn't for me, but, you know, maybe Islam is. And so then I started getting into black nationalism heavy. But it wasn't until 2014 when I met Brother Anka. So this is almost 6 years ago. And he introduced me to Pan-Africanism. And it wasn't until that time, you know, 6 years ago that I realized that we're Africans, you know, and all of these. So this entire time I was just searching, you know, searching for an identity, trying to reclaim my history, trying to reclaim my consciousness. And in 2014, that's when I met Anka. And he brought me to the realization that we are African people. And, you know, and he introduced me to Pan-Africanism. And then after that, I was sold. It was, you know, Pan-Africanism after that.
Right. Your journey is amazing. Like what brought you to where you are. You know, I kind of went through similar transitions, you know, excluding the Christianity. I never really was into the whole Christianity lifestyle and practices and beliefs though. But we went through a very, very, very similar transition. But mine's actually started when I lost my great grandma. I was like 12, 13 years old. And I just couldn't put together and figure out, you know, why would a God take my grandma and she's the person who's taking care of me, you know, and to leave me by myself and to leave me homeless, to leave me with nowhere to go, with no family. Like I just felt like that it just didn't add up to me. You know, I'm like, this don't make sense. God is there, and this God knows that my family are drug addicts. They know that I can't go to certain houses. They know that I'm gonna have to be in foster care. They know that I'm gonna have to be in places that I don't want to be at, you know. So I'm like, nah, this isn't adding up, you know. And that's when I understood why my great grandmother was not practicing Christianity, you know, and because she didn't raise me with that, you know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. It's not making sense to me at all. So I actually started digging deeper into different religions and just reading different, it just kind of it brought me to the 5% nation, you know, and
Okay.
that kind of was like, this makes sense. This makes sense. Like, there's no God outside of self. Like, you know, and that's what I started. I was like, okay, yep, makes sense, because if there was this higher power, the God that they speak on, why did they take someone who loved me so much, the only person who took care of me? You know, why would that person or that entity leave me and my siblings like the way we were left? You know? So I was like, nah, this isn't right. It's not making sense, you know? And that was kind of my journey. But I did go walk that similar path, went through different religions, reading different books and so forth. You know what I mean? But I was like the only one, you know, when I was out and about, I was locked up a lot. You know what I'm saying? And while I was locked up in DYS, Department of Youth Services, jail is
So looks same here.
as well. You know, my I was reading, they didn't know. You said what?
I said same
Say
here.
what?
Incarcerated before.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah. They didn't know what I was reading. They didn't know what I was up to. They just knew, you know, okay, that's her. She out in the streets doing her thing. But I actually I was reading. I was doing things. So my mind was a little different than other people, you know. So that's just kind of brought me to where I was. Even in 2014, 13, 14 was my complete wake up as well.
Same, yep.
Yep. It was my complete wake up as well. And I was like, and that's when I actually got into the whole Pan-Africanism in 2013, 14, around that time.
Beautiful.
It was around the same exact time, you know? And I was like, But for a while, I was just really, really, really into, my focus at that time was really on Kemet. You know? At that time, it was like Kemet. I still wear my ankh, you know? And it's yeah, I still wear my ankh. And it was like Kemet. And I was just doing research, like, how am I related to these people? Am I related to them? You know? That's my journey then. But I was trying to figure out, like, and that's actually what made me do a DNA test. I was trying to figure out why I was so light. I wanted to know why I was so daggone light. So I was like, are these people really light or are they dark? You know, I was trying to figure out some things, you know, because we all know about the colonization and everything like that. So I was like, I don't know, like, what's going on? But I did do DNA tests to figure out where I was from and where my people are from, you know. So I did that back then to figure out some things and to discover myself more. I know what you're talking about, girl. I want to know, what makes you Dr. Ma'at?
What makes me Dr. Ma'at? Are you asking why did I select the name?
No, what makes you Dr. Ma'at?
What makes me Dr. Ma'at?
Yep.
Well, I got to talk about the name and what the name means, right?
Do that, yes.
Yeah. So, you know, we know that Ma'at was a code of conduct that was created in Kemet. Some people will say the 42 principles of Ma'at. Some people will say that it had over 100 principles, and we just know the 42 principles of Ma'at, or they call it the 42 principles, 42 declarations. But anyway, in that system of Ma'at was based on having good character, standing on truth, justice, and reciprocity, and also balance. And so I think that, I'm not even gonna say I know that I live by Ma'at, and I try my best to live by Ma'at. I try to stand on truth, you know, no matter what, justice, reciprocity, balance. I try to be a balanced person. And so when I came across that code of conduct, I said, wow, that's me. Ma'at, that is me. Truth, justice, reciprocity, balance. I said, that is me. And so what I did, Queen, and this is before I got into like EFI and stuff like that. And so I said, I'm gonna name myself Ma'at, you know, not realizing that you go to the Babalawo and you get your name, and it's a whole process that you go through to get your name. When I first stumbled across that code of conduct, I felt like it embodied who I am as a person. I felt like it spoke to my essence as a person. And so that's why I said that is what makes me Ma'at. You know, I teach the truth. I definitely believe in reciprocity. I teach that in my household. That's a value that we practice here. Reciprocity, reciprocation. Right. You know, right. You gotta give back. You know, and so and I was raised in that. My father was a community activist. My mother worked 35 years for Baltimore City Public School, and she went from a teacher, worked her way up from a teacher to a school principal, and then from a school principal to area executive. So I grew up in a family that always gave back. I grew up in a family that practiced reciprocity. And so I've always, like I said, when I studied that system or that code of conduct, I felt like it embodied who I am as an individual or as a person. And so that's what makes me Dr. Ma'at.
Yes, girl, when I first seen your name, I was like, you know, I was like, what is this about? Let me see what she's about. You know, and it was my, hey, you know what, this chick, yo, she's dope. Like she was battling some I think he said he was battling somebody. He was at the conference, you know, and he was like, yes, and he was like, he's like, you gotta check her out, man. I was like, I said, I know who she is, actually. I do know who she is. And he was like, and he was kind of like, because he didn't know I knew who you were. I was like, I do know who she is, but I didn't know she was doing all that. And he was like, yeah, you gotta check it out. He was like, you gotta check it out, you know? So I went and checked it out. I was like, oh, okay, you know, because you are very truthful. And the other day I had promoted you, and there was a couple people said, she's real aggressive, you know? And that's what a couple people said. Yeah, she's real aggressive.
I get that a lot, but I just think that I get that a lot, that, you know, that Dr. Ma'at is aggressive, you know, but I think that I am aggressive, and I own that. I own that characteristic. Not aggressive in the sense that I want to hurt or harm anybody, but aggressive in the sense that I'm determined to get what I want. Yeah. And so I think that if I didn't have a level of aggressiveness, or I didn't even want to say aggressiveness, determination, basically. I think that if I didn't have a certain level of aggressiveness or determination, I don't think that I would have gotten where I've gotten. You get what I'm saying? Like, you have to have a certain level of that. And so I do get that a whole lot. She's aggressive. But go ahead, sis. You were getting ready to say something, Queen?
When it comes to the truth, yes, when it comes to the truth, sometimes you got to be aggressive, because there's people that just can't take the truth, you know, and they feel like it's harsh, you know, they feel like it's harsh. So when they're hearing certain things, they're like, oof, like, you know, and it's aggressive to them. And back to 96, 98 era, people felt offended so easy, you know what I mean? Because you're speaking the truth, you know? So some people find that aggressive, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Queen, can you hear me?
What was you saying?
Okay,
yeah, I hear you. I wanted to add, it kind of broke up.
I wanted to add something to what you just said. And then you got to understand that I'm in an arena that's male dominated. So it's like, you got to fight to be heard, because if you don't, those brothers will trample all over you. They won't give you an opportunity to speak. And that's why I'm so glad that you started this platform and you're giving sisters an opportunity to speak, you know, and to express themselves. Because in that arena that is very male dominated, you know, the men, you know, sometimes they're going back and forth. And so you got to kind of like assert yourself. So it may come off like she's you got to realize I'm in an arena with a lot of males, and, you know, you're contending with the male ego. You're contending with male chauvinism. You're contending with European patriarchy. So it's a lot that you're contending with in that arena. And so you do have to assert yourself, and you do have to be aggressive. I can't go into that arena as a passive woman. You can't do that when you're battling. And so I just find it funny that when a female exerts herself, it's, oh, she's aggressive. But men do it all the time. They're very, you know, they're dominant. Not all men, but, you know, men are dominant. They're aggressive, and it's okay. But when a woman asserts herself, and when a woman is strong in her opinions, it's, you know, she's too aggressive. She's masculine. She's a feminist. She's this. No, I'm just a strong Black woman who wants to do what I want to do what I was groomed to do. And that is teach my community and uplift my community.
Right. And I see that with you. I see that. And I'm like, yes, if she just getting her point across, and that's sometimes that's what we gotta do. We have to put our foot down and we gotta stand strong and tall in front of people that are already bigger than us. And that's just kind of how it is. That's just kind of how it is. So how was your journey to Ghana? You went there.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
it was.
Yes, I was looking at the pictures, everything, the videos. I'm like, wow, how was that journey there?
It was wonderful, Queen. It was wonderful. We went to Ghana. There's a brother by the name of Bamani. He has an organization called Africa for the Africans, and he has a website. I believe the website is also called like www.africa for the Africans. And so for about 4 or 5 years, I've been reaching out to him saying, look, one day I'm going to go on the trip. One day I'm going to go to Ghana with you, because he goes to Ghana, he goes to Senegal and Gambia, Ghana and South Africa, and he's gone to Brazil as well. And so for about 5 or 6 years, I reached out to him and I said, look, brother, one day I'm going to be one in the number. And so last year, that's when I made my, some people say Hajj or pilgrimage, but that's when I made my return back to our ancestral homeland. We left, I believe, the end of May, May the 23rd, May the 24th. We stayed for 2 weeks. We toured or explored 4 different cities. We went to Accra. We went through Kumasi, Takoradi, and Sukunde, and we ended our tour on the Cape Coast. And so it was a wonderful experience being on the continent. It was awkward going through the airport and you see nothing but us. Pictures of Black folks. Like usually when I walk through BWI, you got pictures of white folks, pictures of Asian folks. When I walked through the Accra, the international airport at Accra, I saw pictures of Black people. When we were driving through Accra, billboards with nothing but Black people. It was just us. And
that's beautiful.
While I was in Ghana, I was telling my family, because I was communicating with my family via Facebook whenever we had internet, and I was telling them that I felt like a burden was lifted when I got to Ghana. You weren't judged because of the color of your skin. It wasn't a heavy police presence when you walk down the street.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sis, I'm telling you, it was breathtaking. The people there were extremely friendly. Come on over here. I cooked this for you. Come on over, taste this. I mean, they were very warm, very inviting. I was able to show Meltrek while I was there, and I took my son with me when I went. Well, one of them, I took him with me. And so we were able to show Meltrek at several schools. We gave out posters and books and DVDs and all sorts of stuff while we were over there. So it was a beautiful experience, I also, while I was there, got the opportunity to see, to explore the castles, Cape Coast Castle and the Elmina castles, which were the dungeons where our ancestors were housed prior to being shipped to, the Caribbean or, America or wherever. And so I was able to explore the dungeons and learn about them. And that part of the trip was very emotional for me.
Right. I seen pictures, and I felt the emotion just looking at the pictures. I was like, wow, like I really want to go there. I need to visit myself. My aunt, she goes to Egypt often, she goes often. And this last time she went, they started praising her and saying the queens are here, and they were just praising my auntie, and she was telling us like, yeah, they love us, and she goes often there. So I go to Ghana. I do want to go to Ghana. I want to go to Ghana and go experience that culture and breathe in that air, you know what I mean, and just eat their food. I love me some food.
Oh my gosh, the food was so good, sis. It was like this was the first time that I ate. Usually, I like my fish filleted. In the States, I don't eat fish with bones in them. And so over there, when they fix fish, they put the whole fish on the table, and the eyes are still there. But anyway, the food was delicious. It was delicious. I kept eating. Oh my gosh, I'm sitting here thinking of the rice. I can't think of it, but it's like a rice dish that they make. And I ate that like every day, but the food was phenomenal, well seasoned.
Mm.
One thing about Ghanaians that stuck out was I know over here we call it CP time when you're late to
Mhm.
everything and you take your
Yeah,
time.
that color people
Oh,
time.
oh my, when I say they take their time, if you go to a restaurant, before you're there, you're sitting for an hour before someone comes and asks you, to take your order. You say you're sitting there for an hour, then it takes another hour or 2 hours to get your food and another hour. So they take their time. And initially, I had to check myself while I was there because I was a little impatient, like, well, where's the food? And so I had to remember, like, you're in a totally different culture. And over here, people take their time. It's not the hustle and bustle that we experience in the US. People take their
Mhm.
time. People are a lot relaxed and they're calm
Mhm.
and they're just, they just take their time. Here, we're zooming in and out of traffic. We're beeping horns at each other. It's not that in Ghana. It's not
Right.
totally different.
Right. Man, I was like low key, like, dang, I should have went. I should have went with her. Like, God,
I'll be going back, Queen. I'll be going back.
when are you going back?
So I was hoping that I wanted to go back this summer.
Mm-hmm.
So I was torn between going back to Africa this summer. I mean, of course, given what's going on with this pandemic, we don't know what's going to happen with traveling.
Right.
But my intentions were to go back this summer around July. And if I don't go to Ghana in July, I plan on going down to Mesoamerica and exploring like the Olmec culture, the Aztec culture, and exploring like that. So that's going to be if I can't get to Ghana, I'll be going to Mesoamerica.
Now that's going to be a trip. That's going to be a trip. Yes. I was looking in there too. When I did my DNA test, I seen I was connected to some places there. I was like, whoa, like, who the heck are y'all? Ain't none of y'all in my family. I was like, who are y'all?
And look, Queen, when you get back, when we look at our DNA test, what you'll find is like we all mixed up. Like we all mixed up, Queen. It's not, even though like when I took a DNA test, I did my DNA test with Dr. Rick Kittles from African Ancestry. And so he traced my mitochondrial DNA to the Cameroonian people, the Bamileke people in Cameroon. Okay. And so, but then when I did my DNA test through 23andMe, I saw that, it
was more broad.
Yeah, it was like 79%, West African. But even within that, I had, Congolese. I had all kinds of I would have to pull it up, but I saw that I'm really mixed up. But that goes to show you that our ancestors were here, and then they migrated here, then they mixed here, then they went over here and they mixed. So we're all mixed up when you think about it. So once I got my DNA test, I said, it's kind of like, what do you really call yourself? Do you really, does African American embody everything? Or the term Black or the term Negro? Does it really embody what makes me me? You know what I mean? Like
it really doesn't. It really doesn't. When it's all said and done, it does not. When you do that DNA test and you find out, especially 23andMe, FTDNA, when you do those two tests and you see that you Cameroonian, part Senegalese, places in northeastern Africa, and we're like, whoa! Like when I did my DNA test, it traced me. I did 23andMe, FTDNA, and I did African ancestry. So I did all three, but it traced me down to Lesotho, the Kingdom of Lesotho in Southern Africa.
Wow.
And yes, and it got to the point where their prime minister actually reached out to me and contacted me and put me in their
beautiful
newspaper because it's the same as their rain queens. So I was like, whoa, like I got that in me too. Okay, that's why I'm so daggone light, because those people there, it went back to like 300-something years or something. They were lighter. They were lighter complexion. And they went to, a lot of them was my complexion to yours, but a lot were light, and then they got darker as they started to migrate up toward more Nubia area, and they got darker and so forth. But that's what I discovered. I was like, I don't know what really to call myself now, because I seen that I had a large percentage of Nigerian in me, had a good percentage of Cameroonian in me.
Same here.
Same there.
Yep, same here.
Yeah.
I was 79% West African. Well, my total DNA, they said I was 94% Sub-Saharan African. So I was 94, I think 94.5% Sub-Saharan African. But I look at my feet, my face. I felt like when I was in Ghana that I was around my cousins. That's how it felt. Like, so anyway, 94.5% Sub-Saharan African. But of that 94%, 79% of that came from West Africa. And some of that, and then the other percentages came from Central,
different areas.
Yep, Central and South Africa. And so, Queen, I think that one day we should do a show where we get into the DNA and show the results, kind of like break that down for the people. I think that would be a hot show.
That would be dope, because I actually went and did that. I did knowledge on that, and I had a J thing help me with all of that. You know what I mean? So that would be really good to do that, because I have my test results from all three places, and it would be great to compare things, to kind of add stuff up, and like, it'll be great. And it will also probably inspire other people to figure out who they are, or what's in their DNA. You know what I mean? So I know we're running out of time because you got somewhere to go. Why don't you tell us about Meltrek real quick? Tell us about Meltrek.
So Meltrek is a project that I started with my family in 2013. The actual idea of Meltrek was in my mind in 2013, and it started with the desire towards the end of 2013. But it started with the desire to find educational animations for my son. At the time was 3. He was getting ready to turn 4 in March. But I was trying to find educational animations that taught him about the history, culture, and achievements of our people. So I started looking on YouTube, and I came across a film called "Tell Me Who I Am" by Kid Positive, Baba Daryl Grayson. And so, but the film was produced in 1998. Okay. And so I kept getting my son to watch it, and we watched Tell Me Who I Am over and over and over again, because I could not find other cartoons or animations. I don't like saying cartoons, because when you think of a cartoon, you think of something that is exaggerated, something that isn't real, but just animations that were educational and also entertaining. And so it was hard for me to find that sort of stuff for him. I found a lot of books for children, but not a lot of animations for our kids. And so I bounced around the idea with family members, and I said, we should actually start, produce something, like produce a film that teaches children about our history and culture. And they thought I was out of my mind. They're like, you're not an animator, you're not a cartoonist. We've never directed a film. Where are we going to get the money? Where are we going to? So it was a lot of questions. So they thought that I was out of my mind, Queen, when I said, we're going to produce a film, and I said, and I'm going to utilize the talents of the people in my family. You like to draw, you like to do research, you like to do this. We're going to aggregate our skills and utilize our skills to create this animation. And so I would say the top of 2014, we started working on it. Heavily. Right. And by October of 2014, I think it was matter of fact, October the 21st, 2014, we released Meltrek Episode 1, Exploring Ancient Africa. And then in 2017, we released another film called Meltrek, Exploring the Pre-Columbian Americas. And so this year, in August, we will be releasing our third film called Meltrek, Exploring the Ma'afa, where we talk about the slave trade. So essentially, Meltrek is educational and entertaining. Educational, I always say edutainment. So it's an edutainment animated series that teaches children about the history, culture, and achievements of African people on the continent and throughout the diaspora. And so what we do is we take a group of children back in time. And so a lot of people say, oh, that's like the Magic School Bus. It reminds me of the Magic School Bus. But we take children back in time to learn about our history, our culture, and our achievements through our lenses. And so in Meltrek Episode 1, Exploring Ancient Africa, the objective of that film was to teach our babies that our history does not begin with slavery. Our history doesn't begin there. So, typically in the public school system, they teach our babies that our history begins at, around the 1400s, when the Portuguese came over and started enslaving Africans and things of that nature. So typically start our history there, and then they bring it all the way up to the civil rights movement. But I wanted our babies to know that we come from a very rich history that hasn't been properly or adequately taught in the school system. And so we take the babies back to pre-diaspora Africa, where they learn about civilizations, where a time where Black folks were self-governing, where we were building our own civilizations. We had kings, we had queens. Our babies also learn that Africa contributed much to the advancement of civilization. We gave mathematics to the world, we gave science to the world, we gave religion to the world, we gave morality to the world. And so you learn that, in Meltrek episode 1. In Meltrek episode 2, exploring the pre-Columbian Americas, I tell parents that your child will learn what I call real U.S. history, where the children go back in time and they learn about the pre-Columbian America. So before Columbus and the Hispanics came over here, invaded, what was it like here? Well, you had indigenous people here who had a culture, who had civilizations, who built things, who practiced mathematics, who practiced science, who practiced religion. So I call that real U.S. history. And then in Meltrek episode 3, exploring the Ma'afa, that's going to be like a 3-part mini series where we teach children about the enslavement of African people through our lenses. So part 1 explores how it began, and it began when the Portuguese began to come down to the Guinea coast, and they initially started kidnapping Africans. So a lot of people are quick to say that Africans sold other Africans into slavery, which did happen. It did happen. That's undeniable. It's undeniable. But it didn't start there. You get what I'm saying? It was a process. And so, it started with the European people coming over and kidnapping Africans and attacking coastal West African communities that could not protect themselves. I actually read a book called The Portuguese in West Africa from 1416 to 1790. It's a book that was created or written by Malin Nuit, who translated the Portuguese writings. And so the Portuguese themselves admit that they were attacking vulnerable coastal communities and kidnapping Africans. And so we talk about that in Meltrek, exploring the Ma'afa part 1. And so we also have, not only do we have films, once we released those films, we got a huge response from people. I'm talking about around the world, Queen. There were people who reached out to us from Canada, the UK, Switzerland, Sweden, in the Caribbean, Bermuda, Jamaica. I mean, people from around the world reached out. But there was one complaint that they had. And the complaint was that the film disseminated a lot of information at a fast rate. So the parents were like, do you guys have any other, items that they could utilize at home so that the children will really understand it and retain it? And so I said, you know what, let's produce activity books, coloring books, story books to go along with the film. And now I'm currently working with Howard County school teachers and Baltimore County school teachers, and also a teacher in New Jersey, to produce unit plans for each of the episodes. So now each of the episodes will come with, so the vision is that every episode that we produce will have, you'll get the film, you'll get a coloring and activity book, a story book, and then also a unit plan with maybe 3 months worth of lessons that you can do at home with your babies.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. Yes. So, all right. So we have 2. Do you sell Meltreks in a box set? Will you be selling in a box set?
It's on. We have bundle deals. That's what we call them on our website. So if people go to our website, and our website is edanimeproductions.com. And if people didn't catch that, they can just type Meltrek in the search engine, the Google search engine, and links to our website to come up. So we definitely have a bundle deal. When these lesson plans are finished, parents will be able to go to our website, click on a link, and download the different unit plans for the different episodes. And so we're working on that right now. And since we're also I'm working with the Ryan's Institute here in Baltimore to build an African-centered STEM school. So that's what we're doing right now. the CEO of Ryan, the CEO and co-founder of Ryan's Institute. His name is Dr. Dante Ryan. It's run by he and his wife, Miss Ryan. And so I'm working with them to actually build an African-centered STEM school about 5 miles from Morgan State University, because we want to partner with Morgan and collaborate with Morgan. And so soon we'll have an African-centered, we're trying to shoot for next year, but an African-centered STEM school right here in Baltimore City, where we teach we teach STEM from an African perspective, okay, and also for the benefit of African people. And
it's not going to take you like 8 years to open the school up, right?
No, it's not going to take us 8 years. It's not going to take us 8 years. We're looking for a property now. All right. Yeah, we're looking for a property now. One, a property that has equity into it, in it. Two, a property that has like a parking lot. So when parents are bringing their children, they don't have to drop them off on the side of the road. So we want a building with, parking lot. We also prefer a building that's on one level, preferably, but, we're considering a 2-level building. And so we're working on it right now. Like you said, Queen, it's not going to take us 8 years to do it. We'll have it up and running probably by 2021.
You see how fast that is to build a school, y'all? You see that? It don't take long. Nope, not long. Okay. Just had to say that. Okay. All right. So my Meltrex is very entertaining. I like how they rap while teaching. That's what we do. We actually let the children watch Meltrex.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Tell your son, thank you so much.
Yes, that's actually my king. It's actually my king who said,
I thought you said your son, your king. Tell your king, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we actually had the kids watching it one time. They was watching it because it is cool. It's entertaining. The kids for those who don't know, in Meltrex, the characters, they're kind of rapping a little bit, doing rhymes and stuff while they're teaching. It's like the students that are with them in the show. It's real entertaining. It's cute. And yes, it is sort of like the magic school bus, the black magic school bus. It's awesome. So yeah. So yeah, we really do need to, get that out there so people can start going to your website. So the bundle set, of your books. Not of your books, of your movies, and also the whole plan you was talking about. That's just amazing. I know you got to go. Adults can learn from it too. That's what someone said. Adults can learn from it too.
And Queen, I want to add this. I want your listeners or your viewers to be on the lookout for a book that I plan on releasing next year. Entitled, African-Centered Education, the Vehicle to Empowering the African World. And so I'm working with about 3 teachers to produce this book. And so that'll be on the market next year. And the book, we're going to write the book for parents and also educators. So that is our target audience, parents and educators. So, what is education? What is the function of education, right? And then we're going to get into the complexities of education, because I don't really think parents understand that when you send your child to, I call it the public food system, and we've all been there. Like my son is currently in the public school system because I'm in a situation where I can't homeschool at the moment. But of course, we're homeschooling because of the pandemic. But prior to the pandemic, he was enrolled in a public school system. So this is no knock to people who have their children enrolled in a public school system. But what I want our parents to understand is that education is very complex. Not only are they filling your children with math and reading, and they call it reading, arithmetic, writing, reading, and arithmetic, right? But they're shaping your children's psychology. They're shaping your children's personality. They are acculturating your children, in a sense. And so you got to ask yourself, are they doing this for the benefit of them or for us? And it's really for the benefit of them. And so we're going to get into that in the book. Right. Get into the complexities of education. We're going to critique the current American school system. We're also going to talk about African-centered education. What is it and how will it benefit us? And then we're going to conclude the book with a chapter that's going to propose an African-centered curriculum for the African child in the 21st century. And we're going to build that curriculum based on STEM, based on African culture and African history. So I got got a couple of
That's
things, got a
amazing.
couple of things in the pipeline, Queen. Got a couple of things in the pipeline, and I know we're winding down, but I did want to say this to you, Queen. Thank you so much for bringing me on this platform and giving me an opportunity. Giving me an opportunity to express myself, my thoughts, the things that I have
Yes.
been doing. And so, like you said in the beginning, for people to actually get to see me, because they see me like with the microphone, and I'm like, yeah, but to
Yeah.
really get to understand and learn me and who I am.
That's what I wanted. I wanted for people to know who you are, and what it is that you do, because you don't have enough time when you're on that platform with that mic to say who you are, to explain the things that you're doing, for the community, and what you've learned outside of, Pan-Africanism, and what you preach when you're on that mic, when you're doing the debates and so forth, So people do need to know what Dr. Maya is doing outside of that, and that's why I had to have you on. I'm like, wait, she has a lot going on. People need to know, like, it goes deeper and it's further with her. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
I hope that some of the people actually were watching and tuning in, the ones who said that you were very aggressive, and they see now, why. She's aggressive. She's aggressive. I'm like, all right.
Oh my goodness! But you again, like you really you have to be in that domain. You can't
Mhm.
if you saw those brothers, and it's no disrespect to the brothers at all. Men, a lot of men are very, they're very dominant, and you get in that arena, and brothers are going back and forth, and they get emotional, and they ego, and so
So they're
it's
really, really dominant when it comes to that battling, going back and forth.
absolutely.
Real dominant. There's
And
no passive men when you watching the debates.
no,
None. None.
no, you can't be passive.
Mm.
In that arena. If you passive, you're going to get trampled all over. And so you
Mhm.
really have to assert yourself in those domains. So I just hope again that, like you said, the people who watched it and say, "Oh, she's aggressive," I hope that they watch it and they sit back and they say, "Okay, I understand why the queen moves the way she moves when she's around, and when you're in a lion's den, and when you're in the den of lions,
Yeah.
you can't act like a sheep, and so."
And yeah, and you are really like the only female that's out there doing it right now, as far as the debate goes. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like, you're the only one that's really out there that's doing it. So you have
yeah.
to be like that.
And that's why a lot of females stay away from that. They're like, I don't want to
Mhm.
argue. I don't want to go back and forth. I don't want to be, I don't want to do that. So a lot of women are like, I'll pass, and so there you have it.
Yeah, I'm the great debater. I'll do it. I'll do I'll do it, but I got to know what I'm talking about first. But I'll do it. I'll go out there. Let me know what I'm talking about. Give me some books I can research. I'll go out there. But it was great having you on. I want you to come back.
Oh
We
yeah,
got the whole
definitely.
book
Anytime.
together, everything. I want you to come back so you can introduce, your new project to us. Now, especially if you go down to South America, you got to come back and tell us
Oh
about what
yeah,
happened in South America.
definitely.
Because if you go this summer, I can't go. I can't go because I'm expecting, so I can't go. Yes. So
Again, you just literally had a baby. I watched the whole process on social media.
yep. So
Man.
I can't go. Not this summer, but next summer if you go, I'm there.
Okay. All right, beautiful.
Next summer if you go, I'm there. Definitely, I'm there. I'm there. But you have to come to my wedding though first.
When are you
Our
getting married?
ceremony. Huh?
When are you getting married?
On Juneteenth
All
next year. Yes. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
This
So
year or next year?
next year, Juneteenth. It's on a Saturday.
Okay, I'll be there. I'll be one in the number. I will be one in the
Yes.
number. Send,
You have,
send me
you have to be a part of it.
yeah, send me the information. I'll be
I
one in the
definitely
number.
will. I definitely will. I definitely will. But it was great having, and that's a public, I guess, announcement, y'all. Juneteenth is the date. So, because I haven't even put it out there.
Congratulations. Congratulations,
So
Queen.
yeah, Thank you. The first marriage doesn't count at all. That was something that didn't count. That wasn't even real. Okay.
You were experimenting. That was an experiment.
That didn't even count. So yeah.
No.
So it was great having you on. We're gonna have you on again. Today I have 2 more sisters coming on at 12 and another one at 2. If you got a chance, come back and go check it out. And we got your boy, young Pharaoh, coming on Wednesday. So I guess you can get to see another side of Pharaoh on Wednesday. Yes. So we'll see how that goes on Wednesday.
Don't say that's my boy. You talking about that's your boy.
That's your boy. That's your man. So
I'm surprised that you brought him on, because remember you were telling me he called you a feminist or something because you defended him at one point.
He did call me a feminist. He called me a feminist, and but since then he's been, I guess you would say, nice, or whatever. So, he has his times.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he was pretty upset with me because I defended you. He was pretty upset with me back then. So, but he's coming on. He'll be on Wednesday. So the people will get to see a different side of him. We'll see what he has going on and so forth, and what he has to talk about. So, yeah. Okay. So it was great having.
Nice being a part of it.
You on again? Do what you have to do. We need more. We need more of it.
Absolutely.
All right. Open that school.
Will do. Peace and love.
Okay. Peace, sis. All right.
It's the scoop with Fari. Go off.